Thank you and welcome into this video. I would like to take you through how you can differentiate an eTIMS compliant invoice from a receipt. So this is very easy and you should not struggle by differentiating these two items. This is because the difference is visible to everybody when you check these two documents. But what is essentially important to check is the KRA pin of the supplier. So when it comes to compliant eTIMS invoice, the KRA pin of the supplier must appear in that document, in that invoice document. But when it comes to the receipt, you notice that there is no KRA pin of the supplier in the receipt. So receipt is just a cash sale document which usually confirm receipt of the cash and you have purchased some item. But when we come here, this is a more legal document and it can be produced in a court of law. So it is more detailed and contain a lot of data. So you can notice an invoice will have an invoice number, but a receipt maybe to have some number in sequence which number these receipt, but is not mandatory. But now to identify an eTIMS compliant invoice, very easy. You notice it must have a QR code here below. So this is the QR code which will not get into a receipt. So the receipt will not go ahead and start populating QR code here. So a receipt is just a simple document and you can be able to identify it just that simplicity. That when it comes to a receipt, you not get the PIN number of the supplier here. Though the supplier name is here, it can include some details like their box number, their addresses. It will also contain the date when I did this transaction here. But when it comes to the invoice, even if it is for cash sale, because you can notice that this invoice date is and the invoice due is for it has the same date. That's why I identified it is just a cash sale and it is not a credit sale. You can see the guy gave we gave out cash and we are given the equipment which we wanted. So it is simple like that. But you can be given an invoice and you see some of the element, but you notice that invoice can be non-eTIMS compliant. And one example is here. So let me bring this document here. So this document, this seems to be an eTIMS compliant invoice, but in real sense it is not, because in case you want to get it easy to verify if you have been given an eTIMS compliant invoice, always ensure that the KRA pin of the supplier appear in that document. But in this document, the KRA pin of the supplier was not visible. So capitalizing these receipt or invoice when expensing or adjusting your expense, it will not be possible, because even when doing the manual upload of non-TIMS/TIMS expenses, you notice that you require the PIN number of the supplier. So there was a rebate which was given last year where the KRA pin of the supplier was given not to be mandatory, but as per now it is mandatory. So you should always check. Even if you see this QR code, always get the KRA pin of the supplier. But in our video, what I wanted us to focus on was the difference between an eTIMS compliant invoice and a receipt, because I identified a lot of people are giving me receipt when when I requested for invoices, and it will get hectic to convince them that they are giving me a receipt other than an invoice. So an invoice is much detailed, and the core difference is by checking those essential elements. But some of the key elements in an invoice which you should check is that an invoice must contain the name of the supplier, the KRA pin of the supplier, the invoice number, the invoice date. If it is a credit invoice, it must contain the invoice due date, a QR code, the description of the item which you are purchasing. Also the model number may be the UOM, the quantity, the VAT element if it is there. So all these you can see in this invoice. But also that you need also to notice that even if invoices they are eTIMS compliant, different invoice usually require different treatment, and that is something which I noticed. So I'll take you through a scenario where I have these two invoices. So in this invoice, because the customer pin is populated here, you notice that this data will automatically auto-populate in KRA in the iTax portal. But when it comes to this invoice, this data will not auto-populate in iTax portal, because the customer or the buyer, me now, I didn't submit my KRA pin to the supplier, so that I tell the supplier, now invoice me so that I can pay you. So this is where now you need to do the manual declaration of this expense or this expense using the manual and eTIMS stroke TIMS expenses by just getting into Excel sheet here. Let me show you something. You need to come to this sheet and declare this amount after uploading them into the system. You need to come and declare this amount. You need to come and declare this amount at the section 36, 31. You need to come and claim that amount here. So it will not automatically auto-populate in the iTax portal. And that is how the invoices which you have, you dictate on how you need to treat them. So if an invoice can be eTIMS compliant and it was fiscalized, but it will not automatically auto-populate in your side because you didn't give the supplier your TIN so that he can be able to invoice you directly, and it will force you to do double work because you have to go and upload it manually into the iTax portal. So that is what I wanted to explain. In case you have any query, you can feel free to reach me using the contact in the description. So thank you for watching and have a nice day ahead.